So I did send an email with all the dimensionals on it and your supply list. And I've also posted it to my Stampin' with Inky Fingers Facebook page. So hopefully you got that. Once again, if you are shopping with me, this is the host code for February 1st to 24th, which is today, but you can still use the host code up until today, and as of tomorrow it'll change again. But for today, you can still use that one. And just remembering, if your order is over $200, do not put the host code in, because then you'll be able to use the host credits for yourself. All right, so here's the list. And then I've also marked everything with little sticky notes just to make it a little bit more clear what we're doing. All right, so the first thing that I wanted you to gather was color number 1. So today's card I'm using Old Olive, and so you needed a piece that's 5.5 by 8.5, which is your basic card base typically. And then you also needed a piece of that same color in a 3 by 3. So I've marked that as well. Okay, the next piece we wanted was a piece of basic white, which is 4.25 by 5. Then you wanted a piece of basic white that's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Then a piece that is 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/4. All right, and then for our designer series paper or your patterned paper, you want a piece that's 5 by 3 3/4, and also a piece that's 4 3/4 by 2. So for today's card, I'm using the Ice Cream Corner designer series paper, and I've used the same piece of paper. I'm just going to use the flip side of it for my smaller piece. All right, and then I'm also using today the crinkled seam binding ribbon in Whisper White. So it's quite a thin ribbon. It's nice and easy to tie. I love it, but it's got a bit of a crinkle to it. But yeah, it is nice and easy to make bows with. So that's what we're using in today's card. And then I'm also using the Old Olive ink pad, Bermuda Bay ink pad. And for my stamp set today, I've chosen the Pretty Perennials. I love this happy in there. So you can pair it with the happy birthday, sending lots of happy, you make me happy, birthday mail. Lots of different options on this one. Let me just turn my phone down here. Sorry about that. Turn the volume off. Maybe I won't. Not sure what's going on here. There we go. All right. Okay, got that off. Perfect. Now I'm dropping stuff. All right, so let's get started. So there's the measurements and the paper we need. I also suggested a stamp set with an image and sentiments, punch, die, or paper snips, ink, embellishments, and adhesives. Our basic supply list. All right. So clue number 2 says to fold the piece of 5.5 by 8.5 in half and score on the score mark and burnish. All right, so let's take this piece, take our sticky note off, fold it along the score mark, and use our bone folder to get a bit of a nice crisp crease. There we go. Okay, set that aside. And for clue number 3, set this underneath there. Adhere the smaller piece of DSP to the lower section of the larger piece of DSP. So what I mean by that is take both of your pieces of designer series paper. Okay, so the smaller piece, we're just going to adhere it to the bottom corner, I just left a bit of a matted edge all the way around on 3 sides. All right. I always use the Tombow multi-liquid glue, but obviously it's your adhesive of choice. So some people like the snail, some people like the glue. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I will let you know when I've used dimensionals, which are the honeycomb shaped foam pop-ups. But again, if you don't have them, it doesn't matter if you're using them or not. All right, so that was clue number 3. Adhere the smaller piece of DSP to the lower section of the larger piece of DSP. Okay, clue number 4 says, wrap a 6-inch piece of ribbon around the front of these pieces and adhere it in the back. Okay, so again, when I'm putting ribbon on, I like to use the glue dots. All right, you just start peeling it back, then your dots are on the piece that's rolling off. All right, take a piece of your ribbon, cut a piece off that's about 6 inches. Then I'll pick up one of the glue dots. I always find it easier to put the ribbon onto the dot and then pull it off as opposed to trying to pull the glue dot off. Okay, so just unstick it from my fingernail here. Just wrap it around, probably a little bit closer to the top of that smaller piece of DSP that you adhered. So one glue dot on the back there, and one on the other side. There. Okay, so literally just a straight piece across. Okay, that was clue number 4. Clue number 5, we're going to adhere these pieces, so the pieces you were just working with, the pieces of DSP, to the front of your card base. All right, so on my card today, I'm using the landscape direction, and you're just going to adhere that to the front of your card like so. Again, just using glue or the snail. Okay. All right, once you've got that adhered to the front of your card, on the piece of 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 basic white, randomly stamp a small image over this piece. Okay, so that's this square piece of basic white. Whenever I'm using the photopolymer stamps, I always like to use a stamping mat. This is just the foam mat that's available in the catalog. Right, we'll set that there. And I've got just the small flower from the Pretty Perennial set. This flower right here with the designs on it. Okay, I'm going to use the Bermuda Bay ink. And again, just stamping and randomly stamping these images on my piece of paper. Okay. That off. And then what I want to do is I just want to fill in the rest of all these white spots. So I'm going to use the Old Olive for this one. But I don't want it to be really dark. So what I'm going to do is what's called, and actually that's the next step. I suppose I should show you that. Okay, using the same image, or in my case I am using a different image, and the 3rd and 4th generation stamping technique, fill in any blank areas on this piece. All right, and then I have put a note here to how to achieve the 3rd and 4th generation stamping. You want to ink your image. So in this case, I'm just using a in the flower. It's actually this for the center of the flowers, but I'm just going to use it for filling in. All right, but I don't want it to be this really dark green, so I'm just going to stamp it off twice, and then I'm going to stamp it on my paper twice. So I don't know if you can see that, but it just gives a nice light background. Okay, so we're going to ink it, stamp it off twice, and stamp it on our paper twice. There we go. So that just kind of filled everything in for us. All right, set that back. Close up my ink pad. So apparently I had a little bit of technical difficulties, and after I finished stamping this piece here, my camera quit working. So I didn't realize it until I'd finished. So I'm going to come back and go through these clues with you again. All right, so again, with this 3 and 4 generation stamping, you're going to ink your image, stamp it on scrap paper twice, then on your image twice. All right. Okay, so then the next step was adhere this 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 basic white piece to the 3 by 3 color piece. So this piece here is the same color as your card base. So adhere those 2 pieces together. All right. Clue number 9 says attach that to your card front with dimensionals. So I put dimensionals on the back, and then I put it over to the left side a little bit when I attached it to the card front. All right, clue number 10 says to stamp a sentiment on the 3/4 by 3 1/4 piece of basic white. All right, once you've got that stamped, then we're going to banner punch or snip it. So what I did is, after I stamped my sentiment on there, you can use a punch. There is a banner punch, but I found it just as quick to use my paper snips. Just take your snips, snip right in the center of your piece that you've stamped on, and then from the corner, cut into that snip, and from this corner, cut into that snip. It gives you a nice little banner end on your piece that you just stamped on. All right, then when you're adhering this, I put dimensionals on the right half, but I put glue or snail on the left side. And the reason for that is because I've put dimensionals on the back of this square piece here. So in order for this to lay level, I put a dimensional on this side, but glue here, because then it sits level. All right. Okay, clue number 12. I put my 4 1/4 by 5 on the inside of the card. Then I also tied another piece of that ribbon, the crinkled seam binding, and I just made a bow with that, and then attached it with a glue dot over top of the piece of ribbon that we had attached earlier. All right, and then I was saying too, if you wanted to put some gems on there, in my case, I'll probably put some gems on each of these little flowers. I could put a gem there. Now, if you didn't use flowers, you could put gems anywhere, or you don't have to do anything with it. All right, and clue number 13 is the mystery is solved. So here's obviously the card I made with you. Here's the original card that I made. So with this card here, I used the Pretty Perennials. I think I said that at the beginning of the video. And I used this stamp and then this little stamp here to stamp it. Whereas with this Rich Razzleberry card, I used the Berry Blessings. Now the Berry Blessings is something you can purchase, you get it for free with a $120 purchase right now as part of Celebration. All right, so you get the stamp set, but you also get a 12 by 12 pack of Designer Series paper with it too. I've got the paper over here. So this is the piece I used on the card today. There's some more strawberries, kind of a gingham pattern, plaid pattern on the back. There's a red one, more strawberries. So it's just nice and fun pack. Love this blue, the blueberries. So yeah, that is a free purchase right now until the end of February. With $120, you get the stamp set and the paper that I just showed you. All right. I also made this card with the ice cream corner suite. I don't have that stamp set right here, but that was just one of the sprinkle stamp sets included in the set. And then it says thank you with sprinkles on top. And then the designer series paper as well with that one. So yeah, just same layout, but lots of different card patterns. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that today. If you do make a card, I'm hoping that you will post it to Facebook, Stampin' with Inkie Fingers, so we can all have a look at it. And I guess I'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody, and take care.